Christine and Tim.
Christine, Sofran, Ntim.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
All right. So, hello and welcome everyone to the annual planning session. I'm really excited about this. I've been doing this now, I think, for about 2 years now. Last year, I've done it the year before. So, this is actually the third year doing this annual planning meeting. And I'm so elated to share with you not only how I plan out the year ahead, but also how I've been able to reflect, reassess, kind of pivot and learn and grow to make every year just as magical as I planned it to be, right? I think we always think about planning from a perspective of just trying to accomplish a lot in a certain time frame. I'm not looking at this from the standpoint of just trying to accomplish a lot, which, by the way, it does help you achieve that, but more so really vision planning and really being more in control of the future and the life and the year that you want to have. I think it's really important that we have a different relationship with time. I know right now in today's world, everything's so rushed, everything's so overworked, that people are just overstimulated, people are just overconsumed with just so many different inputs. I do think that we need to all have a little bit of a breather, take a step back and just really reset our relationship with time again. Time is the most precious asset that you have. And it's really, really crucial that you have a more healthier connection with it. And I'm saying this just for context from a perspective who is, I just recently had a baby. And every time I bring a new child into the world with my husband, we are just another level of grateful, another level of happy, a level of just like really, really looking at our lives and how we can optimize to be more leaders, examples for our children, but also for the life that we want them to live as well. So a lot of you are doing this not just for personal reasons. Maybe you're doing this for your family. Maybe you're doing it, for a loved one. Whatever your motivations are for having this session, I salute you and I welcome you. And I hope that this conversation puts you in a position of strength and real positioning for 2026. So let's get started. So obviously, we're come to the year end and we want to create a year that, creates more freedom, more alignment, more revenue, more opportunities without you having to overwork yourself. I do think less is more. And I think this is going to be a theme that a lot of people are going to carry into their reality into 2026. Because I already could see people just stepping away for certain obligations. I've seen the patterns not only in my life, but also in people around me. I work with multiple different clients, multiple different entities, and I can tell you the pattern that we're seeing across the board is very, very consistent. To take a step back, let me just formally introduce myself. My name is Christine Ntim. I'm the founder and CEO of the Global Startup Ecosystem. I actually run a portfolio of multiple different revenue generating companies. And over the past couple of years, I've been pulling myself from behind the scenes to the public, sharing my strategies with personal branding, with business development, with time management, productivity. I mean, the past 2 years, I've been very consistent with sharing the behind the scenes journey of my evolution, how I'm able to do all the things I do while being first and foremost a wife, a mother of 5 beautiful children, a serial entrepreneur, a global speaker, and add all the titles you could come up with when it comes to, being a farmer, a hobbyist, a cook. Like there's just so much, like many of you I am in terms of titles and just experiences that I embody, that I'm so happy to know that I am every second do my very best to design the life that I want to lead. And this is the reason why I think this is such an exciting session for me every year, because I want to share that joy and excitement with you. I love planning, by the way. I love mapping out what I want. I love mapping out my desires, my needs, and also the needs of my family and those who I love. And I think this is going to be a great opportunity for you to also do the same. Now, with that said, we all know that things that used to work before don't work anymore. And that's the reason why a lot of people usually join these sessions with me, because they recognize that there's been a disconnect in the assumptions that we've had about the world. Our worldview has shifted because we're seeing that, okay, this was the formula for success or progress. Now it has shifted. And so what's the new formula of success? What's the new formula of progress? I'm not saying my blueprint is the only blueprint you can follow, but this is a plan and a process that I've tried and tested over the years. Since the pandemic, I've been refining my annual process of planning. And I will tell you that this session matters now more than ever, because more and more people are recognizing that they need to buy back their time. They need to leverage it. They need to optimize it. They need to set boundaries with people that invade it. They need to protect it with intention. And many founders are probably by far the worst in managing their time, because unlike corporate workers who have a set 9 to 5 and parameters that force them to be on a schedule, entrepreneurs, you dictate your time in many ways. Even if you have, an office where you go into with your coworkers, you still, many ways, I see this with thousands of entrepreneurs who've been through our program, the Global Startup Ecosystem. The time management element has always been very difficult, right? And so, with that said, this is a conversation to help you, okay, really reassess how you manage your time, and really not just from an entrepreneurial perspective, but more so from a holistic perspective. So, with that said, before I begin any type of annual planning, I usually do three things. One, I go back and see, how did I step into my values this year, right? Did I really live a life where I respected and did not compromise my values, i.e., dealing with integrity, dealing with relationships that probably won't left, and how did I handle those relationships when they went left? Did I scream? Did I shout? Or did I take a step back and really assess and really keep myself poised? Did I say I value family? Did I spend time with my family? I say I value relationships. Did I spend time and build and grow the relationships that I had? Like, how did I really tap into my values? And I have a couple of minutes just reflecting on that first. The second thing is, did I uphold the traditions that matter to me? Because you see, I think a lot of us are losing a sense of self because we're not upholding the traditions that we want to uphold. So for me, certain timeless traditions that I like to hold in my family is prayer, birthdays, programs at the household, like family fun night on Fridays, Saturday move nights. There's certain traditions that we have both within our household and within our community that I like to uphold. As a homemaker, as a wife, and a mother of 5 children, I had to make sure that I am upholding the traditions that I want to not only carry into the next generation, but I believe will shape the people that I love and their future and their life, right? So, what traditions did I uphold, and did I feel proud of those traditions? And the third and lastly, and this is something that's very unique to, I believe, my husband and I, is that we have a culture code for operating in the world. And what I mean by this culture code is that we understand that the world shifts, and to make ourselves be able to make very quick, decisive decisions as to how to operate with people in different spaces at different time zones, we have culture codes. We have a culture code for example, for America. We have a culture code for Europe. We have a culture code for how we operate in Africa. Like, we have culture codes on how we exist and operate with the pretty much the global zeitgeist that it is, right? So, for example, we have a way in how we deal with elders and how we feel like elders operate in certain places around the world, right? That way, when we're in certain situations, we don't need to like be indecisive. We kind of know how to deal with the situation, right? So we have culture code. So those three things are very important, that we take an assessment of those three core things: our values, our traditions, and our culture codes. Altogether, it takes usually about 15 minutes for us to just like look at that. And let me preface this by saying this: because I am a mother, a wife, and a serial entrepreneur, I have this annual planning process about 3 times. I have one by myself, so that way I'm able to freely move around with my own internal thoughts. One with my partner and my husband, right? Because, and I say partner or husband because he's not only my husband in the home, he's my partner in life, right? And so we have this conversation. We go to a separate location outside the house, and we have pretty much a multi-hour discussion about our annual plan. And then we have a third one with our family, i.e. our kids. We actually do have an annual family planning meeting with our children, so to help them go through this process of setting plans and intentions for themselves. Even for the youngest, who's like about to turn 3, we are very serious about them even being in that environment and understanding, like, every year we get together as a family, have a discussion about the year ahead. Okay. So I just want to say that this process we do several times, right? So it's something that's so innate to us now that it's just like it's been a beautiful evolution of how to really have hard conversations in a very unique way. Okay. So once I have this conversation with myself, then I go to obviously my husband, then my children. With that said, there are 3 things that I plan out every single year, and that I hope that for those of you who are entrepreneurs, that you consistently look at, because I feel like a lot of times people plan in different pockets, but don't have like a 3-arm approach with having a comprehensive and complete plan for the entire year. Those 3 arms included my first and foremost, my life plan. I cannot show up as an entrepreneur. I cannot show up as a global speaker. I cannot show up with any title that I have unless my life plan, my house is in order. So I have first my life plan. Second is my personal brand business plan. Okay. Personal brand business plan. This is where I look at my value in the world from a professional standpoint, and how I want to build my career over time and monetize the career, accelerate that career, grow and have like pretty much a fulfilled career. Not so much lifestyle, but a fulfilled career with achievements and milestones and accomplishments that just keeps me going, right? That's my personal brand business plan. And the third arm is my venture portfolio. I am a serial entrepreneur. For those of you who are entrepreneurs for the first time, obviously just your business plan, but I have a venture portfolio business plan. Now, in this economy, I've seen a lot more people become more entrepreneurial. A lot of you start off as doing a couple of side gigs, side projects. And eventually those could become actually 6-figure, 7-figure businesses if you are very consistent with the protocols and processes. But the point is that I have a third arm just for my venture portfolio of businesses alone. Okay. So those are the 3 arms that I plan out comprehensively in my annual planning session. So my life plan, number 1, number 2, my personal brand business plan, and number 3, my venture portfolio business plan. Now, with that said, the context of how I plan out my year every single year is with this humility of making sure that I have my house in order to actually dictate what I want in different areas of my life. I truly believe you're not just the CEO of your business or the CEO of your organization, you are also the CEO of your life. You have to run your life almost like a business operation. I know I do. I run the household like a business operation. Okay. We have set, schedules and systems and processes and protocols, SOPs. Guys, I got SOPs for things in my home, not just in my business, in my home. For those of you who don't know what an SOP is, standard operating procedures. It's pretty much if there's something that you routinely do over and over and over, do you have a process or a protocol or a system or a framework or blueprint to be able to do that in an optimized fashion, in a progressive fashion that actually leads to the results that you want on a consistent basis, i.e. routines. Okay. So I do run my life like a business operation, my life, my personal brand, and my business ventures. With that said, the prep that I do before planning is different 3 rule areas that I want to be able to engage. And I see a couple questions coming in here. Definitely, if you have questions, send them on the chat. I would love to answer them. Okay. And for reference, as soon as I'm done here, I'm probably will even like tease out here and there to answer questions. Let me just comment on this one. Okay, let me just do that in the back. Join in, right? Thank you for that, guys. And I know some of you guys don't see my comments on the LinkedIn feed. Know where I usually go back and just respond to each comment. So if you're in my LinkedIn community, feel free to comment and engage. If you're in my YouTube community, comment and engage. Facebook community, I always go back after every live and be able to go back and answer questions. So even if I missed it on the live, put the question there. I will respond. Even if I have to DM you, I'll answer the question. Okay. So with that said, there's 3 areas or rules of engagement that I usually operate on in order to get my planning process underway. The first one is rules of reflection. Okay. A lot of you don't realize, and I realized this a couple of years ago when I really started being heavy crazy on my annual planning process. I realized that if you have a lot of open loops or open tabs in your head about certain things, it's very hard for you to plan for the future because there's too many open loops in the back of your head. So I always make time to have rules of reflection, even if it's 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. I make a time for rules of reflection. So what does that look like? It's like a review and audit period where I review my photos on my phone, my calendar, because you forget. Like people don't realize a lot happens in a year, and sometimes you don't realize how much things you did or did not do in a year. And so I review again my photos, my calendar, my social media is great. Usually this time of year, social media also gives you annual analytics about how you engage in social media. I actually just saw my LinkedIn year review. I loved it. It's a really great, like, I think it was like a 1-minute video about the stats and the things that I did for the year. I'm like, really? Did I do that? So it's really great to have those stats. Testimonials, any conversations that I had where people gave me feedback, I always review it. It just feels good to just look back and have moments of smiles, sadness, tears, joy. That emotional experience of re-engaging with your past in that 1-year time frame is amazing. And by the way, starting last year, I started to do picture books for different categories of my life. If you want a separate video about this, I could talk about this separately, but it's great. Especially with the rise of AI now, they can automatically just sync and, outline your books. But usually, like, I'll print like, the 1-year birthday or the 1 year, like, just I usually at this time I do all this and give it as gifts to people that I love, and my family, especially my children. And so this is a great time to reflect on things and using these different tools to help you reflect. Because sometimes when someone say, reflect and, revise and, think about, what you've done the year before, and they're just looking at a blank paper. These are the tools that will help you: photos, calendars, social media, and testimonials. Okay. The second thing that I love to do is have closeout calls with people. Now, I don't tell them like, hey, we're having a closeout call. Like, I'm not crazy. Right. But there's certain people that I call and connect with, and we just have a catch up. So I ask them, how's the year? What did you do? Like, what's going on? Like, how do you feel? I don't want nothing from the person, but to just have an honest and sincere conversation with people that I respect and admire in my community. Okay. And I love doing that because sometimes we operate in our own silo, and I'm able to see a pattern of impressions too amongst these conversations. Like, Christine, you rocked it this year. Christine, what happened? You went quiet this year. Like, it's so crazy. Some of the conversations I end up having and the feedback and the information I receive from doing these lively calls. I love doing them. Okay. So these are what I call closeout calls. I do a minimum of 10. And these are stuff like, if those of you who are in my network, if you know that you consistently get a message or a call or follow up from me, you're in that network of people that I reach out to that, again, that I either respect or admire and want to have those conversations and see where your mind is in the zone. Because again, I have protocols and processes for just about anything. And if you look at my experience, I'm so blessed and grateful to know that I've accomplished so much in my life. I've done so much. I've hit milestones that I didn't think was possible at the age that I'm at right now. But I'm never too arrogant to not learn from someone else's process. So I ask questions like, what are you doing to close out the year? How do you assess the situation? I have those conversations. Sometimes my husband will tell you I'm a doer. If I see something that I like, I immediately get to work and starting on it because I learn by doing. That's just how I've always been. And so this is a great time to have closeout calls. So that's number 2. Number 3 is, again, those open loops. Guys, I start getting organized and crazy. So I organize any clutter or open loops I have visually, digitally, emotionally, spiritually. So what does that mean? I organize my photos, I organize my data, my files. Anything that needs to be printed is printed and packed into binders, right? I do a lot of house cleaning, deep house cleaning. I mean, we always have a deep house clean every single week, but I mean, like, we're going through the roof of the house, we're going through the basement, we're going through that back room that usually gets cleaned like every other month. Like, I'm talking like we go areas. I go out to the shed, we go out to the homestead, we clean, guys. Like, we do the do. All right. And so that helps a lot to organize the clutter both visually and digitally. And it helps to just give closure to assess. And here's what I love about this. Anytime I do this process, music blasting, energy pumping, you reconnect with things that maybe you forgot, maybe your old laptop, maybe your own phone, maybe your old teddy bear for the kids, maybe new toys that you never opened for your children, or gifts that you never get. Like, literally, you interact with random things around your household, so you're able to make plans also on those, or throw them away because they no longer serve the need. Reassess, readjust. I mean, it's, why am I getting so excited? It's fun. Okay. Some of the things are tedious, like, organize your data files, or organizing your photos in a certain way, which, by the way, I get always sidelined just because you start enjoying your photos and your videos of family moments, just different moments throughout the year. But I see myself calming down, closing out those open loops. And so I highly suggest rules of reflection is a great exercise for you, where you first go through your photos, calendar, social media, and testimonials. Number two, close out calls with 5 to 10 peers that you respect and admire. Have those conversations and catch up. 30 minutes or less is great. And three, organize the clutter visually or digitally. Go through your house, clean everything out, reorganize, have rules and reflection. Lovely thing to do. Then I move into a phase, which is what I call rules of awareness, where I literally list out the 10 trends that have been influencing me this year or affecting my plans. Okay. So AI is a huge one. CRM is another big one. Migration patterns around the world has been another big one. School policies have been another one. Like, any big trends that I'm seeing at a macro level from stateside, but also globally, I put into that thing. Like, what am I seeing? The 10 trends that I saw that was really kind of crazy for me. And part two to that is, like, I look at, okay, what are my takeaways from that? Okay. What's my best mid case or worst case scenario of reality for me and my family based on these trends that I'm seeing? And I'm not gonna lie to you, the AI one, this is probably the first year where the AI one, like, just trumped everything else so much that I literally had to have, like, a separate, break my own rules and have, like, a separate conversation with my husband about AI, right? And so rules of awareness is very important, because I do think that many of you have gotten rules and strategies for reflecting, but a lot of people don't have conversations about awareness, about looking at the trends and how it's influencing your plans. We always think that our plans are thrown off just because maybe we're not organized, we're not disciplined, but we forget that there are macroeconomic trends that are happening that is shaping world realities as we speak. So rules of awareness is important. And then the third part of that, and probably, I don't know if any of you guys know, but I have a 100-year plan for myself and my family. I walk around with the grace of knowing that if I had 100 years to live, how would I live it, right? So I have a 100-year plan, a 10-year plan, and a 1-year plan. Now, the 10-year plan came about just because I look at the reality that so many people try to do something in 1 year, but forget that there's so much that can happen in 10 years. And I say this because I've been over 10 years in business. So much has happened. In the past 10 years, I've had 5 children and my husband, right? In the past 10 years, I've built multiple ventures, multiple brands. And so I really respect the power of a decade. Okay. So, like I said, if you didn't know, I have my 100-year plan. How's it working out? My 10-year, how's it working out? And then I do my annual plan. Okay. So with that said, it makes certain things that happen in a day look so minuscule when you're looking at your 100-year plan. But at the same time, it makes you appreciate the time that you have on this earth by looking at a 100-year plan, by looking at a 10-year plan. And you start to, again, have a different relationship with time when you actually open up your mind to the possibilities of living out your days in a way that's reflective of a more extended but also fruitful time period. Okay. So rules of awareness. I guarantee if you go through this exercise, It might even make you emotional. The things that you think about when you think about, and because in 100 years, that doesn't mean you're going to be alive for 100 years. You might not, but you're also assessing like how my kids going to live out during that time and my grandkids. You really get. I probably should do a separate video on this because you like think about your legacy more when you look at 100 years out. Just FYI, really amazing process. And then rules of engagement. By rules of engagement, I'm just very old school. I write everything down and then digitize it with my calendar. So all my annual plans, I've written them out first. I've mapped it out because it helps with memory orientation. And when you write something, you commit to it. It's something very psychological. And so I write everything down before I digitize it. Two, I divide this process into 3 parts. I said this before. I do it by myself, I do it with my husband, and then I do it with my family and my kids. Okay. And then the third one, this is something that I don't think a lot of people could do, but over the years, it's been very fruitful for me to do this, is a pilot check, right? What I mean by pilot check is like I actually, whatever I plan out for the new year, I try to adopt it in December. So a lot of times I do this annual plan right before, right on December 1st. So I have a 30-day countdown of doing it. But if you do it for at least 7 days, what I've seen happen to me over the years is that when I pilot the world that I want to create for the following year and try to do it in December before the year starts, one, I'm able to really make it more realistic, right? Because I'm able to dream big, but see what are the gaps that's preventing me from succeeding. So I deal with that in December and not in January. Two, I'm already creating habits and new synapses early in December. So that way, by the time January hits, it's already kind of like a flow. Okay. And three, it helps kick off, habits that I really value. And if I do well, I'm able to end the year with a high because you're already creating the life and manifesting the life that you want to have in 2026 already at the end of the year. And again, it sets you up for success for the new year. So I always have a pilot reality check where I do what I want to do in the new year in December. Just FYI. So these are the 3 areas of rules: my rules of reflection, my rules of awareness, and my rules of engagement. I bet you guys didn't know that this was a part of any process that I do, but this is me really giving you true behind the scenes protocols and processes of how I do my annual planning. So hopefully this process, as we're going along, is serving you very well. Okay. So once that is done, then I have a comprehensive overview. Remember, I have 3 arms of existence: my life plan, my personal brand business plan, and my venture portfolio plan. So this first part is what everyone talks about when it comes to annual planning, is where we call the life plan part 1. And I kick off every year with a theme. Okay. I don't know why having a theme or one word to describe how you want to exist in the world for that year, for that time frame, really helps you focus. Oh my God. It gets, I started doing that about 2-3 years after the pandemic. And man, it has been so centering and easy to make decisions and easy to flow, because I think I had a theme for alignment. I had a theme for experimentation. So 2023 was my experimentation year. So I went on sabbatical. I did a lot of new things. I got into farming in 2023, and I'm going a couple years back here. But that was the first year I created a theme. And it was so easy because everything I did was like, yo, like I said, like I wanted to experiment. Let me try it. Right. Because I'm a person who likes to plan and have process and protocol. So when I got into that mode, I discovered old parts about myself that I just forgot, into adulthood. Right. And so every year I have a theme word. Last year was alignment for me. This year was, connection and catalyzing. So next year I have another theme. So every year I have a theme to align, using the word again, but to align. Oh, sorry. This year was clarity. Okay. Finding clarity. And oh boy, I think some of the clarity was a little bit too deep for me. I'm still processing some of the clarity milestones I've achieved this year, but it's crazy empowering when you have clarity. So I've had alignment, I've had clarity, I've had experimentation. So experimentation, alignment, clarity. So next year I will have a theme. So you should try to kick off your year with a theme. One word. Don't have a whole paragraph. One word to define how you want to show up in the new year. Okay. Now, the second part I had to this is what I call a life wheel. Okay. Now, my life wheel, I don't know if you guys ever heard of this concept. It's a really great way to kind of organize the priorities and the pillars of your life. So there's 8 basic pillars. So this personal growth, leisure, health, spirituality, relationships, love, career and finance. As a matter of fact, let me see if I could show you guys some notes I have here so it can help you follow along. Okay, let me know if you guys can see that well. Okay. Comment. All right, everyone's able to see that. Great. All right. So this is what we call a life wheel. Okay. And in a life wheel, again, there's 8 areas, 8 pillars of priorities that we all have in our lives. And a lot of times, the reason why a lot of us feel unfulfilled or feel sad is that sometimes we do these things in imbalance. Of course, certain things will take more precedence and more priorities over others, depending on the year, depending on the season that you're in your life. But the point is that you got to be aware of these pillars to make sure that you don't sacrifice any of these pillars for nothing. Okay. How I break down these pillars, my adjustment, again, there's always rules of how to do things, and I always break the rules and do it in a way that fits me best. I break down these 8 categories for myself. One that I consider internal work. So these are things that help me practice self-love, that I control. And so that's it: personal growth, leisure, health, and spirituality. Those 4 things are more internal work. External work, when I say external work, these are things like where it requires me engaging with external people that I care about. So external work is my relationships and love. Okay. And then partner work, this is because I'm married. My husband will always try and be aligned on this, is our career and finance goals. Okay. So that's partner work. So a lot of times if you're not married, you don't have a partner, obviously this is more so still internal work. But for a lot of us, we operate in community mindset. Maybe you're living at home with family, right? This is more partner work where you're doing things in collaboration. Okay. So internal work, personal growth, leisure, health, and spirituality. How do I plan those out? So for personal growth, every single year I have a budget to invest in my growth. Okay. So whether it's like webinars or workshops or courses that I invest in, maybe I go on a business trip that will help me reassess. I'll do a fellowship or accelerator programs. Obviously, earlier in my entrepreneur career, I did a lot of different accelerator and incubator programs to help me get on the right path. I shadowed entrepreneurs, right? There's so many ways to do personal growth in the lane that you want to do it. But the point is like, reaching out to figure out who I want to be my mentors, my sponsors. How do I work with them on a regular basis? Really making sure that I'm growing as much as possible every single year. Leisure, listen, guys, like I gotta have my TV shows, and I do have my TV shows to just chill, relax, enjoy myself, hobbies. I got back into dancing right after having our 5th child. And maybe a lot of you guys don't know this, but I'm actually a dancer. I do choreograph. I do a lot of dancing. Like there's no cultural dance move that I can't replicate. Like I dance, guys. Okay. And so the hobby of getting back into dancing, getting back into, running, getting back into just like working out and just having fun. And of course, farming is a hobby. I don't try to monetize that. That's something that I just love doing. Right. Cooking extensively. Like I've been doing a rotation of different dishes. Like there are certain hobbies that I enjoy doing. Gardening. Don't get me started. Okay. Like making sure that I am sticking true through the things that make me happy. Okay. Health. Oh my gosh. Health. I know a lot of people when think of health, think about wellness. So I have different smoothies that I do on a regular basis. My oral care, my hair care. I do my spa treatments on a regular basis, especially massages because my back, I'm always like carrying a child on my hip or something going on, right? So, but the best thing that's been such a huge growth point for my health is really sticking to a morning and evening routine. Okay, really important that you do that. It's been very beneficial to me. So that's something that I'll share with you later on, how you're able to create routines for those open and closed parts of your day. Okay, spirituality, doing daily prayer refinement. So every night before we close, we have a family prayer together. We hold hands, we pray, and then we go to sleep. So maintaining that's actually a tradition at this point, right? Weekly church on Sundays, Bible study book. So I plan to do more Bible study. Actually, buying a book for myself, just focus on Bible study where I'm researching and really getting into Proverbs and Psalms. So it's something that for me, my spiritual growth is very important to me. So these are 4 key areas that I map out and how I want to schedule those out. The second thing that I put in goals is obviously, relationship goals. Who's in my peer network? Am I engaged with them on a regular basis? Do I want to increase the frequency? My family check-ins, who do I want to add to that pool every Sunday that I call to check on stuff? Who do I visit? Right? Obviously, there are family trips, family events. Someone's getting married. Someone's doing a baptism. Someone's, doing a Christmas party, right? There's so many different family relationship programs and initiatives that happen in a year. Like, how do I support and be a part of it? Love, me and my husband, we have daily check-ins, weekly activities that we do together, monthly date night. We actually have more than monthly date nights, but making sure that happens every single month at minimum. Quarterly trips, we do quarterly trips together all the time. We actually fly a lot together, actually. Annual retreats. So the annual programs that we do, like, wedding anniversaries, birthdays, Valentine's Day, like things that matter to us that we want to maintain to make sure that we are pouring into each other outside of the day-to-day. Okay. And then for the last two, career is really all about personal brand development. I can't stress this enough. Finance is really, okay, what are our income flows? And this is probably the biggest one that has been a huge shift going back to the AI trends, where how we managing our income flow and revenue targets for the year per category, for my personal brand category, for my business venture portfolio, right? So what's our income flow? What is our burn rate, right? Outgoing flow, right? And budget planning, what's our debt and credit management? And of course, growth and retention, which is our savings, investments, insurances, asset goals. What are our goals? Every year we're thinking, okay, what other assets do we want to attain? It's really great to have like a major asset every single year that you want to aim for. It really focuses you to hone in on your time, money, and energy a lot. So those are my key goals around that. So with that said, once I look at my life will, or my 8 pillars that matter to me, I think about the systems I want to put in place to make those goals a reality. So I don't know if you guys know this, but I have a daily, weekly plan of how I manage my morning and evening routine. I actually have, like, for example, anything that we frequently do, we create a structure for it. So for example, food. We are always eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner as a family. And so I have a breakfast menu, a dinner menu, dinner menu on rotation. Okay. So what is the daily food menu? My timeline layout, this is huge. I have theme days. Okay. So I want to share with you that breakdown right here. I have theme days. Okay. So Mondays, I usually don't try to have any active calls or meetings. Those are used or scheduled for errands, content planning, administrative, no calls. It helps me map up my week really well. Tuesdays is an active work day. So I usually diverse Tuesday to my personal brand activities. Wednesdays, another active work day dedicated to GSC, my main organization that I run as a CEO. Thursday is another active day, usually dedicated to my other business ventures. So that's my portfolio businesses. Fridays is a flex days, but usually reserved for errands, admins, and closeout. Again, no calls. So I have themes around each day that I operate to make sure that I am bucketing my time efficiently and able to execute in a way that really suits my schedule, but also suits my needs as it adjusts. Have weekly targets, monthly tracking goals, and annual planning goals all the time. But my daily routine and making sure I have theme days per week helps so much. It's changed the game for me because it makes me optimize my time and not drag things out. Because as an entrepreneur, it's very easy for you to have late nights and just go too far in with time and never have an end stop. This helps me organize my time. Obviously, once I have my daily, weekly routine and map out like the food menus, like how do I want to eat into the new year, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, then I start planning out my calendar. And the annual calendar, the first things that we put on the priority first, birthdays and vacation trips. That's the first thing we put. Second, holidays and break schedules. The reason why holidays and break schedules are so important because when the kids are out of school, it affects the whole household, right? So making sure that we put that on the calendar. Then we have the family program. So things that we're doing as a family, which is in line with the holidays and programs. Then I put my business calendar. So if you notice, the first 3 things I do is on my life plan, activities. Then I put my business calendar, i.e. business trips and events like so Davos or UN week or South by Southwest, all the business trips that I typically do on an annual year with a budget and itinerary, it's usually there. And then I schedule out my monthly deep work session. So monthly deep work is when I take 1 to 3 hours to just map out deep thinking, critical thinking, assessments of certain things for my business to make sure that I'm thinking ahead and strategizing ahead as a CEO. I schedule that out because if I don't schedule it out, it won't happen. Okay. And then last but not least, I have scheduled our weekly family meetings with the kids. All right. So after all this is done, this concludes obviously my life plan, which is part 1. Part 2 to this process, I start looking at my personal brand business plan. That I'm going live in the next 30 minutes for the personal brand business plan. So you could hear a whole separate conversation about how I map out that. But usually up to this point, you have a good framework to map out your year for your annual goals by looking at everything I just shared with you over the past hour regarding how to map out your annual goals. But when I look ahead to my personal brand business plan, which is something that we all should do, like mapping out your career and your personal brand growth plan, right? I look at, first off, was one offer I want to bring to the market that I can monetize, one funnel, so again, one conversion process to get people engaged, and one free gift I want to give to the world every single time that helps me show up in my strength. So that way I can offer that premium product to have access to me on a deeper level. So for me, masterclass sessions is my gift to the world. I love having these sessions, but it's also a conversion mechanism for you to work with me deeply in a way that not only sustains me financially, but also sustains me talent wise. I'm fulfilling a legacy of giving back the talent that I know that I'm extremely good at. Okay. So really important that you do that personal brand plan with me in a separate session. And then of course, part 3 is looking at that venture portfolio session. For those of you who are not entrepreneurs, you look at your side gigs, your side projects in that light. But the point is that as AI accelerates, more and more people are going to need to become entrepreneurial anyway. So you might as well learn the framework and the bedrock. And I actually share those insights one-on-one with clients. Okay. Now, with that said, if you find that this conversation was extremely helpful, one of the biggest things that I share with people is that, it's one thing to know a framework for doing something and a rubric for doing things. It's another thing to actually execute and get it done. One of the biggest things that I wanted to share with my audience was giving them an opportunity to actually have accountability and walk them through living out their best year yet. I want people to walk into 2026 on fire, ready to go, having their breakthrough year, hitting milestones and goals that they never thought was possible. And with that, I am for the first time giving people an invitation to work with me one-on-one. Many of you know I am a part-time coach. Because of my business portfolio, I have set times in the year where I do group coaching programs, but I've never done a one-on-one program, even though this is something that people have asked a lot over and over and over. I never really considered doing it simply because I never seen a reason to do it over the past 2 years when I went out and started sharing my insights behind the scenes like I'm doing right now. But I feel excited about this one. I don't know. I moved to actually do this because it's a way for me to have deeper conversations. One of my part of my theme for next year is having deeper understanding of the zeitgeist of people and how people are living their lives right now, especially with the world as chaotic as it is. And I feel like I'm called to actually be more helpful in a way that's more exclusive in conversations that are customized and targeted for people. And I think it will help me grow as well because I'm in a moment of reflection and a moment of growth right now. I'm in a moment of season of crazy gratitude right now. And I just want to give that energy. So maybe you guys are coming at a great moment. So congratulations. But again, I am opening the doors for just 10 spots to provide one-on-ones. We're in January 2026. For once a week, I will sit down with you for about less than an hour to help you execute, map out, and execute your goals, especially around your personal brand. Where if you are trying to figure out how do I launch my personal brand, how do I launch a website, how do I start monetizing my expertise, how do I get consulting, how do I get contracts, how do I optimize my business? If there are certain questions, certain goals that you've been trying to do for years and you keep failing time and time again, this is a phenomenal opportunity for you to have someone to not only give you the accountability, but the frameworks, but also the energy. Many of you guys have worked with me and seen me operate for years. I am about what I say. And I want to give this opportunity to people to be able to work with me and also see behind the scenes how I do certain things. I go in and give you what I've done before. And so this is a great opportunity for you to see these things happen live, where let's say you have an issue with execution. I have found that a lot of times people's plans fail not because they don't want it, not because they can't do it. It's because there's an issue with time management. There's an issue with alignment. And I found that once you unlock the power of your time, you're able to accomplish incredible things. Again, I want to reiterate, I am now a mother of 5. I am a wife. I'm a serial entrepreneur, a global speaker. I have been featured on almost every media outlet you could think of. I have accomplished a lot in a very short time frame. And all that happened because I have learned how to master my time, how to visualize my future, how to dictate my future, how to dictate what I want, how I want it, and when I want it. Like I have not been relenting about what matters to me and how to make it happen. And I want to give that to others. And so, again, I'm giving 10 spots, one-on-one sessions, and this is an experiment. So those of you who get this for the first time, you're going to be really lucky because I'm probably going to pour a lot more than advertised, right? Because this is my first time doing a one-on-one of this caliber. But I want to feel like I see what it feels like to support people to accomplish their goals one-on-one at the beginning of the year, once a week. We're going to get these things happening. And I'm going to be your coach and your mentor and your cheerleader on the side. So I'm putting the link on the chat for you guys to be able to access that. Again, it's only 10 spots for you to make 2026 your best year ever. We're going to have one-on-one coaching by yours truly, where I'll be able to work with you one-on-one. So with that said, I'm going to give a pause in music for you guys to sign up. For those of you who have questions, you can put on the chat. I'm going to take a look at some of the questions, and I'm going to come back and answer them. So I just want to see what questions you have, and then we'll go back to it. So we're not done yet. We have about 5 more minutes. Let's take a look at questions, but I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes to sign up and then assess your questions for the lineup.
Christine and Tim.
Christine Sofran Ntim.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. All right, so let's see. We got a couple questions. I'm hearing that again. I'm aware of this, like on my LinkedIn side, that they're not able to see the links. I'll share it in a second, but let me see some of the questions that came in. I saw a couple of questions regarding, my theme days and how I came to that process. The reason why is that, especially as entrepreneurs, I want to stress the fact that a lot of times, because we dictate our time, we don't have the same parameters as someone who's work at a corporate institution, for example. We tend to just go with the flow. And let me say this: a mark of a very disciplined person is someone who has a boring routine. Okay. If you are going with the flow too much on a day-to-day, you are not focused and you're not able to really build momentum around things that matter to you. So with someone like me who's working on multiple different things, now obviously there are things I've scaled back. There are times where I'm, running multiple programs, but the life that I live, I do have a personal brand that is 6 figures and above. I do have multiple businesses that are valued at 7 figures and above. And those have pressures and time obligations that are required of me. And in order to make it work, I got to look at my work week, i.e. Monday to Friday, in a way that makes me functional, purposeful, and intentional. And the best way to do that I found, again, since the pandemic, was creating theme days. And it has been truly remarkable because I became an entrepreneur for freedom and flexibility. So why not visualize and make that happen? Right? It's so funny that I'm saying this, but a lot of people who become entrepreneurs, they end up overworking themselves a lot more than people who are not entrepreneurs, right? And for those of you who say that you can't do, you don't have the time, this, the third, the way your business works, look, like, you got to stop creating excuses for how you operate, because it's what's preventing you from executing the life that you want to lead. Right. And so I remember this, I still remember prior to this process that I was just like in the business, but not really growing the business, because I'm just like, always moving around. And let me be frank, it came from having a year of actual failures with the business too, because I realized that I wasn't organized with my time. Like on the outset, I'm out here doing this program, this program, this program, and I'm doing very well. But I realized that it was very hard to execute. And so I had to take a step back and humble myself. And by the way, my entire planning protocol that I share with you comes not just from my successes, but also some high regrets and lessons that I've learned over the years that's caused me to be more intentional with my time, by the way. So I'm coming this with immense humility and respect, and also sincerity and empathy for those who struggle with this category of their life, right? Which is time management. It's not easy, especially as someone who has multiple obligations. I could tell you, because I'm more optimized, because I'm more efficient, because I know how to prioritize my time, I actually have a lot more empathy, because I wasn't always like this, right? So the last thing I would say is this system of putting themes around your days, like knowing your patterns of existence. Like maybe Mondays you don't like talking to people, so don't schedule calls on Monday, right? I realized that, I'm able to operate in my strength. And what happens for many of you, you will find, is that you're able to get excited about your days again, because you themed it around days that make sense for you. So this is how I theme my days. Some of my themed days are like, one day is dedicated to just hobbies and sports. Another day is dedicated to business. Another day is dedicated to family. Like, you theme your days how you do, but what you're doing is you're saying, these are the priorities I have on a weekly basis and how I want to make it happen. And this is how I've done it. A lot of people have copy and pasted and moved forward, and it has worked well for them. This is like choose your own adventure. You do what you want, right? But the point is that it's really, really helpful to have that process. I've seen it happen for a lot of people. All right. And the last question someone asked is regarding the one-on-ones. Okay. So again, for those of you who signed up, I saw a couple of them come through. Congratulations. I look forward to working with you into the new year. By the way, just a couple of housekeeping for those of you who already logged in, because I saw that a couple of you guys pinged and signed up. You will receive a direct message from my team scheduling a one-on-one for about 15 quick minutes before the year ends at your own convenience, for us to just have a quick discussion. If we can't do it in the next 2 weeks, then we'll do it the first week of January. But the point is just a quick conversation so I could get to know you a little bit, and then hear what your biggest concerns are, so that way I could go back to the drawing board and map out what I believe will help in our discussion, because I want to make sure that you are maximizing each one-on-one session. Any of you who've worked with me in the past know that I am real serious about maximizing sessions. Clearly, I'm talking about time management. And so you may not know how to maximize it, but I do, right? Because I've coached and consulted for years, so I know how to make sure that make the time work for clients. And so you will receive also ways to schedule out your one-on-one, so it's convenient for you, and then we take it from there. So it is customized. You're not getting a strict schedule based on what a group is doing. It is a one-on-one experience. So looking forward to that. But with that said, yes, this is the first time that I'm offering this opportunity for you to kick off 2026 with one-on-one mentorship and coaching by me, where once a week, we're going to help you map out a killer 2026. We're going to map out and execute on your annual goals, optimize your personal brand, and make 2026 your best year yet. And then some, okay? Because once you make a year powerful, you can make a decade even more powerful. And who knows, maybe you can make your lifetime something that you are proud to live. With that said, thank you so much for joining me on this annual planning session. My name is Ntim. I look forward to kicking off 2026 with you with integrity, clarity, and positivity. Good luck, and let's stay in touch. Thank you so much.